It's probably middle ground maps that you would expect for these teams to play. But either way, it should make it pretty exciting. Let's get started and let's see how INTZ go as the severe underdogs in this qualifier.
They at least get some severe comfort in Nuke, and this is a map that I feel 00Nation looked a little bit uncomfortable on in their time at Pro League. But regardless, they still should be considered the favorites regardless of the scenario. And
Indeed.
I now immediately getting the open play.
Ooh, and Cold shoulder peeks away toward Garage as well. Deals with Dash nicely, and now they've locked Bobs in toward the Africa position, I believe it's called. And next we'll finish off the final frag as well. W1 to drop. It's a clean sweep for 00Nation to start us off. And that was a bit of a weird one for INTZ. They just sort of, I wouldn't say they went one by one, but when the outside play that they tried to put together just got deleted pretty instantly.
They really wanted to stick it to 00Nation early on, trying to fly through the top of Mini and take some outside fights with those ranged P250 duels, but it doesn't necessarily work out this time around, and INTZ swiftly decided to take Pico and regain some momentum heading into round number 3. But for right now, this isn't the start that you would like. Obviously, for INTZ, you want to try to set the tempo earlier on and try to get in the heads of 00Nation as much as possible. But this is everything that you could ask for as the favorite to kind of start rolling with this momentum.
Yeah, and INTZ not going to go too wild too early. Full Glocks in the following round. Full save for the AKs and maybe a Galil or two in the third. Give a chance for 00Nation to farm up some of these default pistols. However, they haven't really got much greatness in their own buy. Weirdly, if INTZ chose to force it with the Tech 9s and went for a fast A player, I would give them a good chance at a bomb plant, but little did they know that it's only FAMASes and an MP9 in action. Early dink, more dinks come through, and Desh actually and Bobs make some good work happen with those Glocks. 2 picks already, but if they go down vents, Cold Zero is here and waiting. Bomb actually will go down, so that's a big success for ITZ in this round. Of course, they're not going to win it, as the Glocks will get eaten up, but that's probably the best thing they could have hoped for.
Yeah, ideal situation for INTZ. I mean, at that point, you might get a little bit more utility out in the following round, and rifles will come up no problem. Very, very comfortable buy here, and you don't necessarily feel that's the case in most round 3 scenarios. So already a max loss bonus-esque type of a buy here from the T's. And 00Nation hot under the collar immediately, honestly, just because of the kind of expenditures that they have to go through to start things off here.
Yeah, it's they actually have what could be considered a significant advantage in this round. They've got the AKs, they've got your utility. 3 FAMAS is still up on 00Nation. Maybe they're a FAMAS master, but I can tell you if it were me, I would throw an MP9 on these sort of close ranges. Higher fire rate to deal with it, but Cold's already dropped down. We'll have an eye on vents in case they go down, and now Demar I think will try and join him. 00Nation quite focused on the risk of it being a B play late round and maybe a push towards secret. Lato and Cold are actually both here right now, but with that Molotov coming in, that might signify that they've just only taken outside for now and won't have made a decision just yet.
Yeah, and you have Dumal also hovering over the vent. So 3 players semi-dedicated into the lower bomb site. And these L-block smokes have allowed Leo Monster to gather some control, at least in top secret. B split seems to be on the cards here. Lubs to go at bat with NQZ straight away. A lot of information garnered, and the read is pretty swift here from 0-0.
The read is good, but INTZ are winning the duels as you'd expect from them so far. Nato gets one back in return, and now Dumal might have a play if he can win this duel, and there we go. That's a nice one to find. He's getting spammed down from the other side of Hut, and he gets a bit spooked by that, but he gets the free AK upgrade back into a 3 versus 3. 20 seconds as well, and Lato is still hiding in these vents. Looks like he's desperate to go for an aggressive play, and the grenades being thrown almost cost him his life. But bomb will go down thanks to Desh, and they've got some after-plant positions now, INTZ. And with the damage done to Lato and Dumal, you have to wonder whether this is worth it.
It's a very difficult retake to take, and I mean, with the economic damage made in round number 2 with just the Glocks, it doesn't feel like it's optimal here. Duma has to get something early, nade in, information gathered for INTZ. This should be that converted retake here.
They're going to give it a go. Dimao will find Dash using that one-way smoke on the paint pot, but they'll drop straight into Bobs, who's playing CT Vent, but it's back into a 1v1 from all that, and NQZ can't finish it off. So a really important start to the game for INTZ to win their gun round. Sure, it's only with one player alive, and that actually might give 00Nation a bit of impetus to go for a force buy here, especially the fact they can get, I believe, at least one M4. To see what decision they make. But either way, that's a good start.
Yeah, very good trading. I mean, I thought after Dumao got that initial frag, INTZ's after plant positions might have been jostled just slightly, but that opposite Vent player did very, very well to stay within it, even with his information given over. But 00Nation decided to be a little bit more economically savvy here. Complete save, bar the slight upgrades in pistols.
Yeah,
this is a room for INTZ to start getting warm into this series.
It's kind of interesting because there are certain teams, I can think of a number of EU teams in Tier 2 that would probably strongly consider a force buy there, knowing they've taken down all but one on INTZ. But maybe if everyone had went down, they would have gone for it. Who knows? But yeah, 00Nation happy to bide their time. Nuke has been a bit of a weird map for them because they can look good on it and they're always very happy to go toward it, but they have been, historically exposed really badly on this map by some, top teams. I think there was one game I saw a while ago when they had that old roster with Mulbs, if you remember it, for a little while, where they just got absolutely run ragged on Nuke a couple times in a row when they were playing some online EU events.
Usually you see these favorites try to take some of these more economically risky decisions, and so far 00Nation, they're giving a lot of respect to INTZ, and I understand you don't want to fall to that lower bracket with the kind of teams that we have here within this qualifier. I mean, 9Z and Fluxo are both no slouches. Obviously 9Z had not qualified for the RMR, but they're still a very, very competent side, and you can't take anybody lightly. So trying to get through the series comfortably, 00Nation opt in for more of an intelligent decision here.
Yeah, I don't mind it. I mean, the fact that Cold had that extra money that I mentioned, that I might have given him an idea to go for an M4 in that previous round, means that with him saving, he can afford an AWP and drop it over to NQZ. So it's good to see that he gets that AWP out early. I have the classic problem of being a British person now, that when I'll say INTZ and NQZ, when I say Z normally, but the CS teams and player names in this region, I usually go for the Z instead, as it sounds quicker off the tongue. And Bobs has already made his way down towards Secret, and through Secret actually, in this round pretty quickly. So that's some control gleaned, and the Molotov being thrown in will give Cold Zero some information that has been taken for now. And a good duel won by Leo early on.
Yeah, so I mean, there's definitely no reason to believe that INTZ are not down in Secret at this point. Bob's, as well as Leo, showing a big amount of presence, but 00Nation are not necessarily biting. They still only have Cold down in the lower bomb site. And a little bit of information, again, gleaned over to Cold. But he still wants to take the duel. This is bold from Cold, and he still picks up the double. No trading here into the lower bomb site. NQZ gets activated as well. It's just Lub and Desh, and they've gotten themselves ramp control, but at what cost?
Yeah, that's a really nice idea there from Cold. I believe with, obviously, the lack of Taco on this team now, he's taking up a lot of the IGL responsibilities. And he's happy to take the responsibility for some fragging there as well. Nice little double lineup. Repositioning into a bit of an off angle that you weren't expecting at all. And then with NQZ rotating in, that ramp frag was nice. But that's a nice shot from Lub. And there's a chance to recover this situation. If they drop down toward the vents, that might not be the best play. But that flash is superb. Time is a problem though. And Lato is here as well. And that time will be their biggest enemy. Lato gets one and NQZ gets the other. There was no time for that bomb plant with the situation of the two CTs. And 00Nation will nicely get that gun round in action.
And you got to give credit to Cold. I mean, it's a tough job there to get two. And if he only gets one, that's where rotations are going to start to scramble a little bit to try and cover up that lower bomb site. But as soon as that secret hold is gone, INTZ don't really have any answers and they have to go to ramp. They go into NQZ's AWP and it works out very well in their favor. And coldzera has definitely been one of those players that's been under scrutiny in terms of his fragging ability, even though he does have to take those IGL duties.
Yeah.
We all want to see Cold frag, right? Of course, like we know the kind of legendary status that he has.
A bit of faster play in toward A this time around, and actually Lub get that opening frag toward next, surprisingly, but Bobs hasn't spotted Demau or the top of hut. I'm not sure what information that Bobs had there, because surely they would have known that Demau got those kills from that position and hadn't dropped down, but maybe he just had the info, mistaken info, that he had dropped down toward the site, and because of that lack of information, he doesn't look at it properly, and gives Demau a third frag.
Yeah, not enough protocols there to dish out onto Dumao. Does very well to get himself 3. And now into the open waiting arms of coldzera. Desh can't convert the frag. And 00Nation right the ship 4-2 now. And finally snapping that economy of INTZ. This is more like it.
You're right about Cold, though, by the way. Like, I know what you mean. Like, all the OG fans of Brazilian Counter-Strike, and actually, I mean, this sort of analogy can work for any fan of a legendary player of years gone by, right? But even though you know their time is kind of gone, you want to see their peak again. You just desperately want to see it, even though it just won't happen. There'll be flashes every now and then, which is what we love to see, especially from Cold in those sort of situations, getting cheeky frags and making big plays. But it's a different era now, unfortunately. Time doesn't stand still. Ooh, yummy. Yummy for Lato. Pistol's absolutely eaten up, and he might even get the anti-eco ace here. Love is 23 HP, but they've decided it's more important to prioritise 5 players staying alive, and that's why Dumau comes in and helps. That was a very nice long-range or mid-range spray there from Lato. Clean. And 00Nation are up to 5.
And as time passes, coldzera understands that he's got to pass the baton at some point, and he's made a lot of smart decisions in that sense to surround himself with some up-and-coming players. Obviously, that godsend core in Lotto and Dumau.
Yep. And
now NQZ for formerly of 9Z. I mean, it's cool to see that he is taking that kind of brunt in that sense and trying to take a step back, let these players shine. Obviously, the results haven't necessarily panned out entirely just yet, but the idea is certainly there. W1's made his way down to the fence already this quickly into the round.
That's
How
handy.
aware of 00Nation are of this?
Yeah, that could be very handy as this round progresses. And QZ's in a nice position towards Secret, and Cold actually can play off the back of him with a bit of support if needed at any point. That smoke will not block off the angle, and that's just a free pick for NQZ. You can't afford to give him these opportunities, and he doubles up straight away. He even gets allowed to fall away, but now this is where W1 can come into play. Of course, he's unaware if NQZ is actually looking for him or not, because I'm pretty sure he heard the scope in there. So he's obviously a bit wary that he could just walk straight into the scope, but he should get this frag in a second or so. There we go. Gun barrel spotted. Freebie. Now they can try and go for a more aggressive play, and they've locked Cold into the back of Garage nicely. W1 finds Lato as well in the meantime, so his recovery is superb, but Dumau answers back, and that drops the bomb outside as well. 35 seconds to go, and he goes aggressive with his teammate next. That's the way to go about it. Now W1, despite his heroics, is now left in a 1 versus 2 with time not on his side.
He has rerouted up the vent, though, so perhaps an element of surprise, but time is the enemy here. 15 seconds left on the clock, and so many angles to clear for the youngster here.
Yep.
And not aware of CT Red. Dumau takes the cake, 6-2 for 00Nation, and a little bit of scary rotations there, but it works out in the end.
Yep, fair. Would you say it's accurate to say that Dumau and Lato, especially when they went to 00Nation, I know they did a lot of work on Godsent, obviously, but they really sort of put themselves on the map properly when that split sort of came in and they went to 0-0, and then they upset Furia, ESL Challenger Valencia. That was such a huge result for them. You know that Furia can always be a bit wobbly, but to actually win against your compatriots is obviously a big deal, and really Made people stand up and take notice of these players. Could be another ramp rush here with the pistols. They've got a bit more to work with this time, though. The flash gets a little bit blocked by a teammate there, and Nato's got a big off angle with the AUG. How many more can he get? He gets himself 3.5 in the end before the P250 finally finishes him off. Desh has a smoke, so he might be able to recover that AUG with the help of that shield. He will do exactly that, but they are being flanked from lobby, so they do need to be careful.
Not a lot of room to work with, and coldzera's already rotated down to the lower bomb side. They're boxed in from Dumao on the lobby side of things. And 00Nation don't really have to rush. Of course, positionally, weapon-wise, massive advantages going into this one. And easy as you'd like, coldzera leaves it down to just Bobs in the 1v4, and nice little shoulder steps there from coldzera, and a 7th locked in for 00Nation.
Yeah, I'm just desperate for Cole to have one of his insane clutches and I get a chance to pull out a line, you know. He's had too many legendary lines over the years for there not to be many more. It's crazy just how time goes, right? You look at the ages of these players on HL TV and you think to yourself, oh, they're still, you know, they're still there. Surely they're 25. Surely they're just, you know, in the midst of their career after such a fantastic start. And you're like, oh, Cole's 28. Oh, it's not old by any stretch of the imagination, but, you know, it's a big difference.
It feels like MLG Columbus and Cologne were just a couple of years ago, but
I know.
it's quite a long time, you know? It's been a while.
7 years, mate. How is that possible?
This game has evolved so much now that you've got completely new squads of Brazilian talent trying to battle against these legends. And INTZ are trying to join that kind of conversation. And of course, it's not going too well right now, but to at least have this opportunity to play against the likes of a coldzera is exciting nonetheless.
Yeah, as I mentioned, I mean, obviously this INTZ team has had plenty of very well-known Brazilian players play for them in the past. This is a bit of a fresher roster. But obviously there's a lot of talent on it. Lub being one of the highest rated, and he's only been on the team for 17 days or so. Some control. Down towards Secret once again. Very fast on that one. And NQZ was looking to try and stop them, but had to fall back in toward main and rotate. And Bobs has control of single now as well, with a couple of players around about the area. And Lato in tasked with the main position on the rafters, on the railings. And now it looks like off the back of that, 00Nation are going to go for some control toward lobby, and the flash is glorious. Dumao gets both. And Lub couldn't trade it instantly, and they know he's there, and that's just absolute ownage from Dumao. Not much you can do about that.
So interesting to see how much lower control 00Nation is willing to give over to INTZ. 10 rounds deep. I mean, they're getting into Secret so quickly, but it doesn't seem to matter because I'm sure at this point 00Nation is well aware of these antics, and that lobby crunch really signifies that. Just that perfect little timing there. 1 minute on the clock. You wouldn't be thinking that a lobby crunch is imminent, and yet Dumao just rips 3 heads clean off, and it leaves, honestly, a measly 2 players left into the toxic side of the B site. And as 13 seconds elapse, I think we're just looking at a save here.
Yeah, it makes sense. They got no cash really at all. And 00Nation, they have some, so I wouldn't mind to see them throw in a couple of players perhaps. But they're going to stick with 5 alive again, just to bolster that bank even further. Next is on quintuple digits now. Dumao up to 15 and 4. I mean, goodness me. That lobby push, taking down 3, was only a small addition to his KD in this game, adding to the quality. And INTZ can actually afford a buy with that 2 rifle save. They can still get 4 in total, so you can understand why they wanted to go for that.
Again, just a slow default. This time they don't have that outside control that they were looking for. They're going to have to fight for it just a little bit more. And just trying to get rid of some utility early on here. stuck in lobby are INTZ, kind of scared to make a decision, and rightfully so. Wherever they've gone, it feels like it's been the wrong decision.
Yeah, that's weird, isn't it? I mean, they would have probably been quite happy with the amount of control they've been allowed to have, as you mentioned, down towards Secret, and NQZ not necessarily fighting for too long outside, as you can see, falling away straight away. But yeah, it's the mid round where they actually have to get themselves into the site where they've been caught off guard a few times. And they're allowing it again. Bobs is going to go and clear garage, and now they're going to go back in toward lobby, but this time INTZ prepare a different default for it, with W1 on T roof catching off next. He's had quite a lot of money in this game, but unfortunately not many frags. It's been a bit unfortunate, I think. 1 on 6 so far, but they're still 8-2 up, so it doesn't matter too much. Bob's trying to lurk around outside looking for something, but he might walk into 2 players in a moment. Silent will try and make his way up toward heaven. Cole now fighting for his life, but removed by Lub. Demau now has to step up once again. There's 3 players group up toward main, but Bob's heaven position could be the biggest issue. Surely he gets caught in the side in a second, and there's the first. But thankfully that actually activates Demau, and now he's safe for a while because NQZ is still activated toward the back of the site. 7 seconds to go. You just can't deal with them right now. Too good from 00Nation. Right place, right time. 3 more for Demau, and NQZ dealt with them all as well. 9-2.
Oh, I thought that was a fantastic call from INTZ. I mean, you have Bob's take outside control. He's starting to scale up to the heavens. He's got the game round-winning play right there in the palm of his hands. And yet NQZ makes the swift rotation, gets into the back of Silo. Dumao is also there. Right place, right time for the 00Nation members, and INTZ just can't trade their way in. Again, another round where they're positionally in a very favored position, but they just can't convert. The frags are just not coming, and these individuals on 0-0, man, they're lighting up the scoreboard early on here.
Yeah, I can't actually remember who it was that flew up heaven. Maybe it was Lato, but if he doesn't do that, and Dumao doesn't get alerted to the fact there's a flank coming, then maybe he just gets caught in the side, and that round never happens. Because Dumao got so much work done in the end from being allowed to stay alive, and somehow Cold's still alive as well against the pistols. Does a great job to get 2 in the end. Fighting for his life with the M4A4. Next looking for an eco of his own, but that is an M4 being picked up on Desh there. Needs to be careful, so chooses not to fight it too much, and correctly so. Fall back down to the headshot angle towards single door. But yeah, that was another great hold from NQZ and Demau, but if the AWP was left alone there and Demau got caught in the side, that round would not have worked out the way it did.
You know, on paper, this type of a matchup is supposed to be a huge confidence builder for the youngsters likes of Nex, of Dumao, Lotto, that core. And honestly, NQZ, he's not necessarily been the kind of star-studded opera that we were hoping to kind of take 00Nation over the top. So having these players activated here, it sets them up for a potential exciting best of 3 that we'll have later on in the day if they can get through INTZ comfortably here against 9Z or Fluxo, because they're going to need all the confidence that they're going to get, especially if they play against the likes of a Fluxo who are riding really, really high right now after qualifying for the major.
Yeah, it makes you wonder how they're going to perform with that, right? I mean, I'm presume after the Monterey success, they're going to be back in a team facility somewhere. I'm not entirely sure where they're based. I'll have to look that up. But yeah, maybe hope there's not any jet lag or anything in that sense. We've seen some of the teams who are in Mongolia, like Raratum and the Mongols, actually struggle a little bit in Challenger League. Covered a couple of games of those, and Raratum especially. I know they were playing with their coach because of Mosier being unwell, but still, the Mongols managed to get a win in the end, grind one out against a Far Eastern Russian team, which was a very close one in the end. But anyway, it's time for INTZ to get some rounds on the board on T side here. 2 is most certainly not enough. 4 would be doable.
Again, slow crawling pace for INTZ. I think lining up the L block smokes here, but NQZ sees it all. And although he's covered off, the information is garnered. Searching for something top silo, but just misses the timing. But how do INTZ... Yeah, they're going to go straight into a mini crunch, and they've got the entry.
That's good. That's really good. The flash was spot on to block off NQZ. Now Cold needs to step up, though, and he most certainly is doing so. Will drop straight down to the ground and tries to mask it by shooting a few bullets, but if they try and trade him, unfortunately, just Next is there. and he would immediately answer back. W1 working his way in toward lobby, but Cold is still holding it. Needs this frag, and he gets another one.
Ooh.
Oh, Cold, too good on this CT side. 14 and 5 for him. Damao 18 and 5. That duo has been too hard to face. And Love was just waiting for rotations on the top of mini, top of main, and couldn't find anything.
Especially after you kill Dumal like that, you're thinking there's no topside anchor, and Cold Zero, usually the ramp lower side rotate, is just sitting on top of the rafters, and you're just confused if you're INTZ. you think that you have the site here free of charge, but it isn't to be. And again, another individual brilliant play there from the captain. And we march closer and closer to a completely dominant half here from the CTs.
Yeah, it is very much Captain Fantastic right now. Cold playing fantastically. Actually has more ADR than Damao overall. Despite 4 less kills. I haven't seen much hardcore pace from INTZ with something that isn't just Tech 9s. And all their ecos have been eaten up anyway. Everything's been sort of slow, and when you give up free opening frags like that, just walking into the corner with an extra freebie, it's hard for you to do much work in the late round. Even with that opening, of course, just facing Cold was too far gone, and NQZ actually times that one really nicely. That was not an easy shot to hit, it's only really the hand and leg was showing. Went for the hand, managed to get the hit and get the frag. Just about gets away as well, out of the clutches of Bobs. And there's a double secret walk coming in from the CT side here as well to try and have a bit of a scout out toward outside. So that might catch him off guard later on. To answer back at least, Desh and Lub will go together toward the ramp position. But there's the walk from Next from Secret. That just cleans out that position entirely.
This round screams an outclass in experience and in talent. And Lotto does so much damage there. But 8 HP between these last two INTZ members. They'll be lucky to get a plant. And as Cold Zero makes the rotation in, flash to boot. And it should just be all she wrote. A 12th all but confirmed here for 00Nation.
He's very, very stuck. He'll get removed by Cold as well. But Lato will be a bit pissed by that. They're doing, what was it, 98 and 94, not getting either kill.
Yeah, of course.
But it happens. It doesn't matter. Team game.
This time around, it actually felt like INTZ have run out of ideas. I mean, you see a little bit of inexperience showing Bob's trying to make the same play outside, but unaware of what angles he's susceptible to. And, of course, Leo showing a little bit of a hand on the far side of Mini. Honestly, makes the situation much more difficult if you aren't aware of what you're exposing yourself to.
True.
But that comes with time.
Another dink. Lob down to 15 HP already. I mentioned he was highest rated and has looked quite a quality young player after being picked up from Oplano and obviously before that MIBR Academy. But right now he's getting taught a bit of a lesson by some of the Brazilian legends in the scene. And QZ in the perfect position as well to deal with that secret push. And now it's sort of like, what protocol do you have when you lose that opening pick? Because they've had to put it into action so often. And they've been dealt with so often. Last one of the half coming in. We could be in for a 13-2. And that would be an absolute wipeout. Lato is in position toward ramp right now. Players coming his way. It's a bit of a whiffy start though. Tight angle for that AUG. Can only get some damage before he has to fall back toward the site itself. Cold's in the right position. Ooh, okay. Leo gets that one, but guess who's here? Guess who's here? It's Dumal, but he missteps slightly and gets caught on the ladder. So going to have to be down to NQZ and Lato now with Desh lurking up. Up comes NQZ from the vents and almost takes down the Heaven player as well. And Lub and W1 aren't exactly healthy either, so this 2v2 is not really in their favour very easily. NQZ rotating back round to the hut position, but misses his chance. And now Lub waiting for the AWP to push forward, and he does manage to grab that kill nicely as NQZ works his way through the fire. But Lato has an incredibly winnable 1 versus 2 here. I think he knows where one player is, but is he aware of the second? That is the question, and he most certainly isn't. W1 being boosted up on the rafters is very handy indeed. And they will manage to glean 3 at least on the half. We're going to go to a quick break. When we're back, Nuke will commence. Welcome back to the South America IEM Dallas qualifier. First half of the opening matches is complete. 00Nation looking very solid at the moment. INTZ will have a little bit of glimmer of hope with that last round of the first half. However, 12-3 is going to be very hard to overcome, Paladin.
Yeah, definitely. And honestly, I saw some really good rounds in terms of the tactics from INTZ. They've gotten some really favorable positions, but they couldn't necessarily convert it in terms of the frags. And you can definitely see just through the scoreboard alone, nobody cracking double digits in terms of kills. And it's got to change somehow here for INTZ if they want to stay within this. And again, starts with the pistol, but things already start pretty unluckily there for Bob's, down to 11 HP straight out the bat.
I'm afraid to say Bob's just got bobbed. He's been tagged down already immediately and cold. Will he check the close angle? He most certainly will. Bob doesn't even get a chance. And even though the duelings are close up, Leo is given no opportunity to use them. And Love has been gooshed as well, down to 20. It's just, it falls apart for INTZ, I'm afraid. And this is a bit of a Cold Zero masterclass, teaching some of these kids a bit of a lesson. But of course, it's a Bay 3. It's not like it's a BO1 or a Swiss or something like that. They have a chance to hit back in map 2. Unfortunately, of course. That's the 00Nation pick of Inferno, so be tough to bounce back. But of course there's a lower bracket, so they'll get another chance. We shall see how that will pan out. Some good damage done to W1, trying to save his Kevlar. Can he get away with it? That is the question. No, removed by Dumal, and now Desh. He's trying desperately to keep that Kevlar alive, and he will do just that. So he's fine. I believe he's got 100 Kevlar as well, so he can buy a $350 helmet. So no worries, but the only worries they really have to be concerned about is the scoreline. And it looks like they're not even going to buy. They want to gun round as quickly as possible, which is fair, I guess.
Yeah, I want every kind of attempt at this comeback. It's a very, very long and arduous one. There's not necessarily too much to write home about at this point for INTZ. And they've got to find a way to dig themselves out of this rut and put up a little bit more of a competitive fight because, again, these opportunities don't come often. And, you know, for younger, more inexperienced teams, the results don't necessarily feel like the priority. It's more so getting through and staying through in these series for as long as possible. You know, trying to take these more favorite teams to 30 rounds on a map, or trying to have enough of demo content to review and learn from, so that when you do get graced with the opportunity once again, perhaps you can capitalize it. That's just the nature of our scene and how CS develops for younger teams like this. And INTs have got to learn it the hard way against the likes of 00Nation, but
Yeah.
you'd like to see a little bit more from them in terms of the amount of rounds that they can play here.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's small things, right? Like that one round where they have sort of an opening to work with, and then they walk straight into, well, not walk straight into, they just get destroyed by the lobby crunch where Demal got that triple. It's just maybe you can put into action at maybe a different default in that sort of mid-round, right? So maybe make it a little bit more difficult. Cold Zera has some farming to do as they all waterfall from heaven. He gets himself 2, Demal gets 1, Next gets 1, and Lato gets 1. So only NQZ missing out on the fun, unfortunately. But he's fine, he's 13 and 4. Keeping his KD solidly intact. But yeah, INTZ strat of wanting to get the guns out as soon as possible. We'll at least net them 4 M4s. Leo, 5 and 15, unfortunately, alongside Desh. And as you say, none of them have really broken that 10 kill mark, which is the problem, really, for their performance in this game. But they have a chance now to do some work. And they've got decent utility as well.
Fast upper crunch here for the 00Nation members. Cold Zera and Dumao chime in with some beautiful trades. But as Bobs pushes through that mini smoke, he gets punished, and so does Lotto. Or sorry, so does Dash. Lotto with the killing blow. And it's 15 on the board. Blink and you miss it. INTZ are now fighting up against map point on their pick, no less, of Nuke.
Yeah, actually, I really like that sort of play, right? I mean, it's interesting that, you know, some teams, when you have like the first gun round to come in, for a T side, you'd really want to just put in a default and just play it slowly. But when you have an advantage like this, it just seems pointless to do that. Just try something pacey. And that's exactly what 00Nation did, and I'm very happy that the result was great. W was just looking for kills here, and he was actually going to go for it in the end and just try and take down everyone, but Lato had a nice off angle to deal with that push. And it's 15-3 for 00Nation. INTZ are in a position right now where they have to force everything they possibly can, and that means we've got XM shotguns, one M4 with better utility, UMP, MP9 FAMAS. It's actually a complete sweep of 5 different weapons, which I love to see, to be fair. Let's get that XM in the action and get himself a multi-kill. Best gun in the game.
19 rounds in, and the Opper of INTZ has yet to even don his preferred weapon. Desh has been sitting in just economically dire straits for the entire map. And you would have loved to at least see some of that flair come out from him this time around, but I think we're going to have to wait till Inferno, especially with the opening pick going to 00Nation there.
Yeah. W1 trying to play that big off angle on ramp where I think famously Jack's got a ridiculous like 4K or ace or something from that exact angle. Not sure if he's watched a Jack's demo, but I can definitely remember that. But that's just because I've got a brain filled with Counter-Strike memories. I'm not like the normal human being, unfortunately. Anyway.
It is simply the nature of our job.
Indeed. Love with the MP9 close up. Looking to try and play a little bit closer up. He'll hear the all-utility being thrown in toward the A site, but as we said, 5 versus 4. It should be a 00Nation cleanup. MP9 looking for Lato, and Lato actually kills Leo first, directly behind him. Can you believe it? Takes both in the end. Nothing you can do about this for INTZ. XM comes firing its way in, but he baits him into NTZ. Desh in the open with the UMP, about to be swung upon. And Demau will finish the job. 24-7 for Demau and 22-7